how I passed the CSCS test. Class in session today. Today I'm going to talk about how I passed the CSCS, Strength and Conditioning Specialist test, and I'm going to give you a few tips on what you guys need to look for when you do take the test. All right, so stay tuned. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today, let's talk about a few tips and some explanations on how I passed the CSCS test. So the CSCS test is a Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. This is an excellent test for anybody who's trying to get in the field of strength and conditioning or really take that personal training knowledge, base knowledge to the next level, all right? Now, the thing about this test is you have to have a 4-year degree or a bachelor's degree, I should say, to actually take the test or to be applied for it. So that's going to be important. But I want to touch on some ways, the way I studied and the way I got through the test that really helped me out. I took this test 2 years ago in 2016, and there's a lot of information. This test, the study materials, let's go over the first part. Study materials is actually going to be based off the Essentials of Strength Training right here, which is now the actual 4th edition. This is the 3rd edition when I took it. And this is 22 to 23 chapters in this book that you're going to need to study. So it's over 600 plus pages. And also, along with the study materials, I also did use these practice exams right here, which they give you a bunch of multiple choice questions in here that you can order through their website. I was fortunate enough, one of my buddies who's a strength and conditioning coach for the Red Sox actually gave these to me. So I use these. They usually come with about 1 to 5 volumes, and you can order these right on their website on the nsca.com with their study kit. And I think the package you can get for like $300 or so with the book, including the test practice stuff as well. So let's go step by step on what I did here. So in the beginning, starting off with the study materials, the book is the foundation. So what I did is I studied this book from cover to cover. Literally, I read every single page and took my time with it. What I did is I read 2 chapters per week max, real slow. And each chapter, I was just trying to really understand a lot of the information and terminology, because in the beginning, you're going to go over a lot of anatomy and cellular structure stuff, what's going on in the musculature, and there's going to be a lot of definitions and a lot of information that you got to take in, along with the vocabulary and stuff. So it's going to be really important that you do not rush. Take your time with this. I read this book cover to cover, and what I did is through each chapter, I physically took cards and I wrote down every key point, key definition of the section. All right, and I put it on flashcards, wrote front and back. I had over almost 100 flashcards. So I wrote them down, all the key points, and then throughout the week, I would go over those key points when I had time a couple times throughout the week, a little bit each day, 20, 30 minutes a day. So once I read the chapter, then I would go over the notes I had the next day. And I would slowly went through each chapter. Like I said, it took about 2 chapters per week. So you got about 22, 23 chapters in here. So I studied that, for at least 2 months. I took my time to study this whole book because I really wanted to grasp all the knowledge and the information in it. And the reason I wrote down, I'll talk to you a little bit further and later on about you can buy study cards, but the reason I wrote down study cards is actually to embed the information in my head a little more further. There's already studies showing that you can connect more neural pathways when you write something down. So just like when I was in school, even though I didn't take good notes, I want to write it down at least. So I'm writing it down, I'm thinking about it, and I can go back and read it a little bit. All right. So very, very important to write those down, go step by step through the chapter. Then at the end of the chapter, you're actually going to take like a little exam or overview of the chapter. It's like 10 questions, sometimes 8 questions. Take each of those questions, go through them. The ones that you struggle on, you'll miss 2 or 3. I would go back, find those topics, and study those topics hard. Take a little bit more notes on them, and then really go over that information before you move to the next chapter. Once again, don't rush yourself because there's a lot of content, a lot of information you're trying to take in. So don't move to the next session until you grasp what's going on in the section beforehand. All right. So any question that I missed on the exam, on the practice exam in the book, I will go back and study over that 2 or 3 times, and then take a little extra notes to really grasp that information, and then move on to the next chapter. Then let's talk about some of the other practice exam material that you can use. So I know right now I talked about they have these practice exams. I would go over these, in and out of these, at least 3, 4, 5 times each booklet to memorize specific questions, see the wordings of the questions, because that's going to be something you're gonna face in the test, how they're wording the questions. Get used to that type of jargon, and then also get used to that content, that information, and really get it ingrained in your head. So go over each one of these exams, take them, take notes on the ones you once again that you do not know. Go back in the book and double check, triple check over that, take more notes on that, so you got that information, and then keep moving forward. Also, they have now, which I did not use, they have the CSCS Pocket Prep, which is an app. So apparently it has all types of information that you can use, like flashcards. It has practice questions, practice exams, very similar with the terminology of that's going to be on the test. So that's a great little app that you could use, which costs a little bit of money per month, but it could be worth it if you need a little extra boost. I did not use that. I did everything manually, and you could still be just fine. And then the other thing that I've seen too is flashcards you can buy, which is from Momentrex, which you can buy those on Amazon, and there's hundreds of flashcards that they already wrote down for you with terminology, vocabulary, and the practical concepts from all the sections within the book. You can do that as well, just for more information and more literature to read to really grasp the information that you're going to study on. If you do that, I still suggest taking your own notes so that you're writing it down and really ingraining it into your own mind, okay? And you get used to yourself putting it on there, so you're working those neural pathways through your own studying techniques. Also, so moving forward, another thing I did at that time, I was still personal training a lot of clients. I would really encourage you to physically practice what you're reading. So you may say, what do you mean by that? It's really important, like if you're working with clients, practice a lot of the exercise techniques in there. Really consciously think about a lot of the anatomy and physiology that they're talking about, and the musculature when you're working with that client, what type of musculature you're working, what type of muscles, what type of planes of movements they're working. So take your study into your practice if you have the benefit of working with clients at this time. If you're not training anybody at this time, I would really recommend you to go do it yourself. So go out, practice all the different exercise techniques, practice the test and evaluation portion, practice the plyometric exercises, practice all the different types of movement, the cardiovascular, all the different cardiovascular styles of training in there. So that's going to really help you not only study it and know it, but you're also going to kinesthetically go and do it with your own body. That's really going to help you learn it faster. All right, because you're going to not only study it, read it, now you can actually put yourself through it so you can learn it much faster. Just like if you're in a new job, if they tell you what to do, sometimes you're not going to grasp it all. But once you go and do it, then it's just like second nature. All right, so I would really advise doing that. That was like one of my main keys. Once I went through the whole book and then I have all my notes, I applied it like directly. I'm going through all the step tests, the ladder, the strength and conditioning test and evaluation portion for athletes. Go and do it personally. All right, do the drills yourself so you can see them. You can measure out how far away the L drills and the different drills are personally, and then you can actually have that reference in your mind. It makes it so much easier. Best chapters here for actually practicing the physically yourself would be like the testing and evaluation, like I talked about. Also the exercise techniques, which you can practice yourself personally. Program design, manipulate different program designs, whether you're going for strength training, speed, power, explosiveness, or weight loss. So you can mess around with the programs and mess around with those and use them for a couple days. Use this one for a couple days while you're studying it for the next few months, all right? There's no rush. You get to start. You can take the test when you want. So grasp all the information and know it like the back of your hand. So put yourself through it too. And beyond the test, this is just a test. You want to apply this information with your athletes in the future or with your clients in the future. So the more you know it, the better, all right? That's going to be very, very important to really memorize that. Also, the anaerobic exercise is another prescription. anaerobic exercise prescription is another chapter, and then also apply exercise prescription principles. So those 5 areas, those 5 chapters will be great for actually applying it yourself and physically going out and doing like I was talking about, along with your study aspect. So just so you know, in the test, so this is my, once you pass the test, they're going to give you 2 sheets here. So, and they're going to give you, because there's 2 different portions of the test that you need to know about. One of the parts of the test is practical applied, and the practical applied part of the test actually goes over 4 content areas, and those, I'm going to read those to you here. This is exercise technique, program design is number 2, organization and administration is number 3, and then testing and evaluation is number 4. Okay, and then they'll give you a total out of 110. I got 95 here. Okay, so that was my total for that, and that'll give you a total for that section at that right there. This is called the practical applied. With the practical applied section, this portion will actually have videos, and then you will have to answer from the video of someone performing a plyometric or someone doing a test for an athlete or whatever evaluation technique, or specific things like that, and you have to watch the video and then answer from that. Okay, that's on the practical applied section, so that's something to know as well. So get familiar. Oh, that actually reminds me, with these, I completely forgot, I do not have them, but they came with a DVD of, which is basically the practical applied. So they'll show someone doing a push jerk or jump squats or lunge hops or some type of plyometric movement, and then you have to answer what they're doing, what planes of the body that they're actually working, and so forth and so on. So this actually came with some DVDs as well. I know you can get all that information on their website on NSCA, plus the app probably has all that as well anyway. So this was actually 2 years ago that I did it. So on the practical applied, going back to that, this will be all information that you will watch the video and then take the knowledge that you have and then answer the questions from that, okay? And then on the other portion is the scientific foundations of the exam. So that's only going to cover 2 portions, which is the exercise sciences and the nutrition, okay? So on this one was 62 of 80. So on this one I missed a little bit on some of the exercise science stuff and then nutrition. So overall my total score was 82%. The passing score is 70. All right, just so you guys know. But that's going to be one test, basically going to have 2 different portions. So breaking it down, just so you have one more time, the scientific foundations is the exercise science and nutrition. And then the practical applied, which is going to be a lot of video, watch video, and then respond with the questioning, is actually going to be the exercise techniques, which is 1, program design is 2, organization and administration is 3, and then testing and eval is 4. All right, and directly after you take the test, usually you're going to go to a test center and have headphones on and watch it all through a computer and answer on there. They'll print this out for you right away, right after you pass the test. So moving forward there. So also the test is going to be multiple choice, which is going to be majority of just like 3 answer options. Okay, so it's usually out of the 3, A, B, or C, you choose from there. So that limits the answers that could be wrong, which is a good thing. It lowers the probability, raises the probability that you can get it right. Also, last half of the test, like we talked about, is the application portion. So you can see a lot of videos from that. And also I wanted to touch on one thing about the test. A good thing is that the test is actually memorization of all the literature, all the vocabulary, and applying the principles. There's no creative thinking. So what you study in here is what you're going to get. All right. I will tell you that some of the questions get a little confusing with the wording. That's why I had a little trouble. Plus, since it's so many questions, you're trying to get through it. If you do struggle with one, you can just kind of skip and go back, and you'll be able to save your place. So it does get a little confusing if you move on. Since it's a computer, you got to go back into the chapter and then click it. But just don't get hung up on one question. If you don't know it, if you really don't know it, move on to the next one, because there's a lot of questions. This test, I'm pretty sure you had 2 hours to do, so it's plenty of time. But just staying focused at that time is really going to help you do the test to the highest ability that you have. So once again, make sure, do not rush yourself with this book. Go through it, take your time, break it down chapter by chapter, and in about 2 to 3 months, you can really grasp all the information, okay? Write everything down and study it from there, and break down chapter by chapter through section by section. And just make sure that you actually apply these principles as much as you can by yourself and with your clients. Okay, so these are just a couple little tips of what I did to pass this exam. I know you can pass it too. If you got any questions on anything, I can go into more detail. Make sure to reach out to me, and I'll be back to you guys more soon with more information.